Hello everyone and welcome back to another Draft a Day video. I'm Jeff Hoagland and we are here for our first pack. Notables in the pack that you probably know I like at this point are Skyspire Scholar and Storm Rider. Outflank and Razor Edge Duelist are both reasonable cards, definitely not first pickable. This pack's got really good uncommons in it too. Strangle is just premium removal. Cottontail Warcaller is fantastic. A Monk is also just a really good beater. We have Pool of Wrath here as our... The start of your turn, concept Underworld Troop with cost 2. It gets speed at the end of turn, sacrifice or discard this. I'm not sure if this card's particularly good and limited. It seems like it's going to clunk up the game and like the board stall, so I'm not sure what the average on this is going to be. I think I actually want to first pick the Strangle here. Blood's pretty reasonable and usually open a lot of the time, so I think I'm going to go ahead and pick the Strangle up. I wouldn't fault anyone for taking the Monk, the Wrath, or the Rider, or the Spire Scholar, but I'm going to go ahead and move in on the Strangle here and see how things go from here. In the second pack, the only blood card in here is Zenthos Hunger, and I don't really love this card too much. Other things in the pack of note are we have a Diamond Coin here. We also have a Webborn Apostate, and I think this is objectively the best card in the pack. This card's very powerful. It's a 2/1 that makes an opponent lose a charge and you gain a charge. So there's a lot of 5-charge champions in this format, so like getting to your 5th charge before they do is pretty huge. And like you put them a turn behind and put yourself a turn ahead, so it's a good tempo swing. Skittering Cultivator is like a fine 2-drop. I don't think it's better than Webborn Apostate. I could see Eager Lackey being an okay pickup and like trying to play the Bloodwild deck, but I don't think the Bloodwild deck is very powerful on average, so I think I would rather pick up the Webborn Apostate here. Ideally, I wouldn't like to pick up a second Shard on my second pick, but there is another good blood card in that pack that I'm really interested in grabbing. No guarantee that we're going to play both these cards at this point. Generally, I like to get an Underworld Officer or two if I'm going to draft the Blood, or the Blood Sapphire deck. In this pack, there's a lot of pretty reasonable Sapphire cards. Surging Wildfire is a really powerful uncommon, but I don't think it's worth dropping our first 2 picks to move into this. Call of the Deepwood, also another reasonable uncommon. I don't think I want to move into Wild. It's not worth giving up either of these cards I already have. So that leaves the playable Sapphire cards in this pack are Cerulean Sage and Skyspire Scholar. I really like Scholar in general just because the games go long, and it not only helps the game go long because it's a 0/6, but it also helps you pull ahead as the game goes long. Playable cards outside of our shards in this pack are Razor Edge Duelist, and Strike Force Surgeon is okay. A 3/3 for 4 is a little medium, but the fact that it has speed usually lets it get in a Diligence trigger, so it can be reasonable. Wow, so this pack isn't particular. I wonder what was taken out of this pack already, because there's been 3 cards picked out of it, and none of these cards in this pack are particularly powerful. In my opinion, the best card in this pack objectively is the Chastise, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and pick that up. It's just like the best removal spell, and we're not committed one way or another to 2 different charges, so I'm just going to grab that and kind of try and get a feel for what's open. If Chastise made it three picks to us, it's very possible that we're just going to get a bunch of good diamond cards coming our way this pack. Because I think this is one of the better diamond cards in the set, it's just like quality removal that kills most of the things you care about in the format. So in this pack, we've got a couple of different things that seem reasonable to talk about. I really like Reversion when I'm in Diamond, but this is a card that comes back around late. Necropolis Garroter is a fine 2-drop if you're in Blood already. Diligence, it gets lethal, so it can often trade up. I'm not really interested in getting a Tactician here. I think I'm actually going to pick up the Necropolis coins. I like prioritizing high-picking the coins in this format just because you usually end up with too many playables, so grabbing a coin is a good way to upgrade something that would otherwise be, you know, just a standard resource. So still not sure which of these. We're going to probably be in 2 of these 3 in this pack. Yeah, okay, so this pack we could commit more to Blood, and I kind of like the fact that we've already got the coin here. Or I could grab the Serikos coins here. Again, I really like upgrading resources, but like Cheap Shot's just kind of like really reasonable removal, so I think I'm going to go ahead and snake the Cheap Shot here. Would love it if these coins wheeled, but I'd be kind of surprised if they did. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this Chastise for now. throw it in their reserves. We cut someone off of a good removal spell in their shards, most likely. This pack has a few different reasonable cards in this. I mentioned Garroter earlier. I also think Conceal is very reasonable. It just gives it your +1 power to unblockable permanently. But I'm actually going to go ahead and take the Moshpit Gladiator. I like this card in Blood a lot. It's one of my favorite Blood commons. We put the gem in it that it can't be blocked except by troops with power less than it. So it's basically a 5/1 unblockable for 4. It has the liability of dying to things like Cheap Shot and Zap, but I don't think Blood or Ruby are particularly popular. And this, you know, we passed to Conceal, and then we got to pick one up. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. Generally, how I like to play this deck, as opposed to building up evasive threats with flying, you build up evasive threats through Conceals being unblockable and Underworld Officers and Moshpit Gladiators, and you stall the board a little bit, and then you beat through with those. So there's another Relentless Zombie here. We saw a couple of these go around, so I think I'm going to go ahead and pick this up just in case some of the other ones come back around. We've already got 6 playables out of this pack, so I'm not too worried if we don't get any more. Man, and the Wakuna coins wheeled too. Well, I mean, I guess I'm going to pick those up. Is this draftable? Maybe the Hunger's fine. I'm not going to play the coins. Yeah, I'm going to grab the Hunger. Maybe if we get a Naive Lackey or something like that, a couple of the cards that were okay sacrifice for Dreadling production will end up playing that. So, for those that haven't seen this card before, the Relentless Zombie is a 2/2 that when another Relentless Zombie or Voracious Zombie comes into play into your control, if this is in your discard pile, it comes back into play. So it's only really good if you have multiple Relentless Zombies and a couple Voracious Zombies. As far as this pack goes, I really don't like Dingle in this format. I don't think Furious Smasher is particularly good, but none of the cards in this pack are great they're worth cutting, and we might play a Furious Smasher if we end up light on playables or light on 2-drops in general. And I guess, like, Smasher with Conceal on it isn't, like, the stone worst. Yeah, I guess I'll pick up the Bloodbearer here. That seems fine. Actually, I don't think I'm going to play the Bloodbearer. I'm going to pick up the Awakened Herald, just in case if we get enough fixing, we might, like, splash. Yeah, I'm going to grab another Awakened Herald. Actually, this is actually kind of a tough pick. The Awakened Herald's random fixing, but a lot of the time I'll end up playing a Tomb Swap. Yeah, I'm going to grab the Tomb Swap. I think the first Tomb Swap is almost always playable, because if you have enough troops that are real threats, like a Tomb Swap in the mid to late game is just going to like replace one of your threats that they've killed off or traded with or something of that nature. Garroter is a fine pickup and almost certainly going to play that, so we're up to 8 playables here now. I'm going to grab the Boon. I usually don't start this card. It gives a troop 2/1 in Life Drain until end of turn. It's like fine, but not impressive. Verdict of the Ancient Kings actually never played that card in this limited format to date. Alrighty, so we really wanted to see an Underworld Officer in this pack, and we did not get it. Sorry about that. I had to help my wife with something. So in this pack, the cards that jump out at me in our shards are the Necropolis coins and the Cheap Shot. I really don't love passing the Cheap Shot, but I think I actually want to prioritize the coins here. We're kind of a little bit more aggressive deck, and these coins are very good. Like, deal 2 damage to your opponent, draw a card, and allowing us to play a high resource count. Like, I think this is easily one of the best coins in this limited format. Like, all of the coins are very good, but I think those ones are better than the others on average. I would like to live in a world where I could ask for that Cheap Shot to wheel back around to us, but that's pretty unlikely. So, worth noting, the other Relentless Zombie that we passed in the last pack did not come back around to us, so there might be someone else picking those up. I don't think it's worth prioritizing picking up Relentless Zombies, because if you devote high picks to them early, you end up, you often end up without Voracious Zombies in the third pack and just feel bad. This pack, Cloudbounder is a very reasonable aggressive threat, but I just, like, can never pass a Consult the Talons when we're in Sapphire. Like, 10 out of 10 picking this up. Hopefully we can see an Underworld Officer before this pack is done, but we're getting slim on pickings. The nice thing about Underworld Officer in pack 2 is they can usually make it a number of spots, because you have to kind of be in Blood Sapphire to be worth picking up. Rats. Still no Underworld Officer. There isn't any quality removal in this pack, and again, I mentioned I don't really care for Fury Smasher either. Shroud, I think, is kind of unimpressive as well. I'm going to go ahead and pick up this Relentless Zombie here, because if we get 2 Relentless Zombies is enough that if we get some of these Voracious Zombies in pack 3, they can be very potent. This makes all of your zombies bigger when you sacrifice another troop, so they get out of hand pretty quickly, especially when you factor in the Relentless Zombies are able to come back into play. So, in theory, we have 2 more playables than I actually have represented here. There's actually 3 playable cards in this pack. In our shards, we have a Shadowblade Splicer. It's a 3/3 fight that scrounges 3 at even opposing troop -3/-3. We also have a Web Scribe here that can make our opposing troops get -power. And we have a Mind Rack Sorcerer. I think I'm going to take the Mind Rack Sorcerer just because like it's lethal and can often generate card advantage or at the very least trade up. It's also the uncommon in the pack. I think Shadowblade Splicer is probably objectively the most powerful card, but this archetype isn't generating a lot of Dreadlings on average, so you often have a hard time activating the scrounge on it. I'm not a huge fan of Power and Pain. That like you have to pay 2 and then pay 4 and like hope you get a good 4-drops. Like you invested 6 resources to like get a slightly upgraded 4-drop. None of the gems in these shards are particularly powerful for a random 4-drop. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and pick up the Skyspire Scholar here. Maybe a little bit light on pressure so far. Hopefully we get another Mosh. I would love to get another Mosh Pit Gladiator, or you know, still hold on to the dream that maybe an officer can come back around to us. Still got 4 more packs we haven't seen yet in this rotation. So 4 more chances at an Underworld Officer. We'll draft from set 5 for the 3rd pack, so if we don't get an officer here, we just won't be getting any. This pack's kind of mediocre. The Arachnid is okay. The Flashpaw Trickster's decent, I guess. What does this do? It's a 5/5. The Master you can sacrifice another troop to give it +2/+2. Seems kind of mediocre. I think I'm going to take the Flashpaw Trickster. I don't know if it's going to make the cut, but I think it's better than grabbing the Arachnid here. Second saving grace might be the fact that it has a couple of coins and some card draw. Really just need some finishers. Oh, the tough choices. I think we're hurting enough for finishers at this point that I just need to take another Mosh Pit Gladiator, as much as I would love to draft a 3rd Necropolis coins. This card can actually kill our opponent. I guess this, like, technically kills our opponent, but we're really hurting for bombs here. I'm going to draft the Shroud. Maybe we'll board this in against a deck that has a lot of removal in it. We'll try and keep our Mosh Pit Gladiators alive since we are a little bit threat light. This pack, nothing particularly exciting. We're not really scrounging, so Wicked Web Spawn isn't good. The Arbiculan could be okay. We're kind of light on 2s. This could be fine. If your opponent doesn't have anything to play out early, you attack them for 1 and then start crunching in for 4, so that's fine. We only have 14 playable so far, so we need to get like 2 more out of this pack on average to be happy. It would be sweet if that 3rd coin wheeled. I'd be super happy about that. We got another zombie here. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and pick that up. I guess we technically have these 3 zombies. Okay, now that we have 3, I'm gonna go ahead and promote these to the main deck, which kind of makes our curve look a little awkward, but I think that's fine. I'm gonna grab the Talon Keep Watcher, because I'm not playing a 2nd Furious Smasher, and just cut someone else off of this Talon Keep Watcher that might be wanting to get those going. So hopefully we get really fortunate and find 2 Voracious Zombies or more in this next pack. Like, Voracious Zombies, like, first pickable at this point for us with 3 Relentless Zombies, I think. Okay, like snapping those up. Wow. Wow, Diamond must be really open. Blindside and Outflank are both pretty reasonable cards in that deck, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab the Blindside because I think this is objectively the more powerful card. And yep, grab another Talent Keep Watcher, I guess. Now I'll grab the coins. Alright, let's hope for some more zombies in this next pack, because that'll turn our Relentless Zombies into, like, actual bombs. I guess this could technically be a bomb. When this attacks, another target troop neutral gets unblockable, and this is just like a 5/5. That could be reasonable. Never actually played this card before, but maybe I could be talked into playing one in this deck. Alright, on-shard bomb. Well of Hatred. Not exactly what we're looking for. This pack's actually really good for us. There's an Astral Sight, which is just like a super powerful card. Gives you 3 charges and draws 3 cards. I think picking up the Veiled Lurker is our higher priority here, though, because we already have a Consult the Talons and 2 Scholars, so I just want more things that can actually close the game out alongside my Mosh Pit Gladiators. I'm gonna go ahead and hide this Flash Paw Trickster. I don't think he's gonna make the cut. We only have 2 pieces of removal right now, but we got a lot of things that like gum up the board and can trade, so it's not the strict worst, but if someone has like a really large threat, we're gonna be kinda soft to it. Since our 2 pieces of actual removal are Cheap Shot and Strangle, they're not hard removal necessarily. Zombies and removal. Zombies and removal. That's what we are looking for. Nothing super exciting in this pack. There's the Cruel Venom Blade, which is 2/1 lethal with Scrounge Shoe to turn into a 5/4. This card's pretty reasonable, and like it can often trade up. I think I actually want the Jet Cadet though. We're kind of light on 2s, and Jet Cadet's another evasive threat that can actually apply pressure to opponents when the board gums up. Taste for Blood. Oh, this is getting sad. This is pack 3 out of 8 now that has not had a zombie in it for us. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Taste for Blood. Gives the troop permanently +2/+2 and life drain. And it starts at a 7 cost, but every time you attack, this gets cheaper. So it's a type of card when you throw it on Mosh Pit Gladiator or Veiled Lurker, they just become impossible to race for our opponent. Come on. Come on. There's my zombie boy. 2/1. It's a 2-drop. It makes their other ones better. Just snap that up. Come on, 2 more of those. 3 more of those? 4 more of those? Would not complain if every pack we saw still had a zombie in it. Would 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 drafting every one of these that we see from here on out. This pack, Dread Botanist is a pretty reasonable card. Just like 1/2 for 2 that summons a Dreadling every turn. But our deck really isn't leveraging the Dreadlings at all currently. I guess maybe one of the Scrounge cards might wheel, or we might get a card with Scrounge. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Dread Botanist up here. We don't necessarily have to play it if it doesn't look good. Still 2 more packs, I believe, so still a couple more chances for some more 2-drop zombies. Nothing particularly exciting in this pack. Haunting Cry is kind of medium. I guess it's a Scrounge card. Scrounge 2, lose 2, draw 2. Got a Dust Scout here. I'm going to go ahead and pick up the Haunting Cry. I don't know that we're necessarily going to play it, but it's definitely the best card in these shards right now. We're already at like 22 playables now. Maybe the Orbicolon isn't actually good enough in this deck without enough Diligence enablers. I guess Botanist like kind of enables our Taste for Blood, so like maybe grabbing the second Taste for Blood would be good there since we have 3 evasive threats, 4 if we conceal something. On shard cards in here are Bleak Blade Twist. I'm really not a fan of this card. Destroy target opposing troop that was damaged. Death Dealer, Assault, when a troop usual attacks is +1 power permanently. Maybe I'm late enough on removal that Bleak Blade Twister is good enough. But I feel like we don't have a lot of things to trade with in combat, so that's probably not good. I'm gonna grab the Death Dealer. Yeah, okay. I guess we're grabbing the Death Dealer. Actually, I was gonna say maybe we'll hate draft the Blazing Hammer, but I think that's the last new pack. There might be one more. If there's one more, I really hope we see a second zombie in it. These are playable with only 4 of them, but I really like 2 of these. And this has 8 cards out of it, so we're not getting any more zombies, which is sad. 10 out of 10 taking the Drain Soul here. Destroy any troop. Underworld Allegiance gain 4 life. I'm gonna go ahead and bin the Death Dealer for now, and I think I'm gonna bin the Orb as well. Is the Orb better than the Dread Botanist? Yeah, probably not between the Taste for Blood and the Haunting Cry now. And this is 22 playables with 2 coins, so we'll have 18 resources in this deck, like I always play in this format, basically. Gruesome Deed came back around. Yep, that's another reason to keep the Dread Botanist in. Sacrifice a troop, destroy target opposing troop. 10 out of 10, making the cut on that one. It's also pretty good with the Relentless Zombies, so we can sacrifice one of these to kill something and then play something and get this back. Huh, what's the cut at this point? It feels like it wants to be one of the 2s, but I don't know if I want to cut any of those. I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2-drop troops. So I don't think that's true. Maybe the Taste for Blood's not good enough, he says, as he sees another Taste for Blood and a Cruel Venom Blade. I think the fact that I picked up the Dread Botanist makes the Cruel Venom Blade playable. Let's grab it. We're actually going to have to put some thought in here. Maybe the Haunting Cry is not good enough. Could see that, and the Taste for Blood's not good enough. At least not to start in the main deck. I don't hate this. The curve doesn't look terrible. We're kind of heavy on 3s, but we're also going to be playing 18 resources, so we should be getting to 3 on 3 pretty consistently. Reaper's a mediocre card. It's just a 3/3 that gets larger. Are there any other cards that are... I guess I'll take this Laskar's Bloodsworn. Just like really doesn't matter, I don't think. I'll take the wrong turn. I hate having that card get played against me. What is our resource breakdown going to look like? We do need double blood for Strangle, but that is the only multiple blood card in the deck. And we don't have too many double Sapphire cards either. Like Veiled Lurker wants 3 at some point, but it doesn't need it right away. I'm going to draft the Patrol Box and put it in against a deck with flyers in it. And we need double for Consult. This is probably just going to be like 9/9 straight down the middle, so like 7 blood, 9 Sapphire. Although I guess we have a lot more blood cards than we do Sapphire cards. I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess I only have 7 Sapphire cards. Maybe this is just a 10-8. 10-8's probably fine. Just want to make sure we have blood more often, because blood's going to allow us to actually like play a game of Hex as opposed to, well, when we're missing Sapphire, we're likely able to like still play more of a game than if we were missing blood in this deck. So yeah, 10-8 is probably reasonable. I love playing Renner as the champion in these blood decks. Just high starting life total, reasonable champion power that generates some card advantage when you activate it. Well, there's a Bleak Blade Twister that we're probably not going to play. I think it feels like it turned out okay. We didn't get any Underworld Officer, which is a card that can steal a lot of games for you, but the core of the deck's not completely unreasonable. We're a little bit soft to flying troops, which is kind of scary. But maybe we have enough that we can pressure through them, depending on what their ground pounders look like. So yep, so I'm just going to go ahead and we'll go 8 blood, 8 sapphire, and then queue up Renner, put some gems in our guys. There's my boy Renner. Mosh Pit, Gladiator, Intimidate, Intimidate. Check the validity down here. Look at that, no mistakes. Save, and we're done. Thanks for joining us for another Draft Today video. I'm Jeff Hoagland. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like it and share it on YouTube. If you're enjoying my content and you want to help support it a little bit, the best thing you can do is hit that subscribe button on YouTube. It doesn't cost you anything. You can also follow me on Twitter and Twitch. If you want to support my content a little bit extra, you can also support me financially by creating a Twitch channel subscription for $4.99 a month, or by becoming a patron on Patreon. You can also support the channel by supporting our sponsors. There's a Hex Primal ad here on the side. With code Jeff5, you can get 5% off of all of your purchases of Hex TCG singles at hexprimal.com, and that helps support the channel. I'll be back again tomorrow with another draft today. Thanks for hanging out, folks. Also, this is the 7th draft in this week's Draft Today series, which means you should head over to my blog at jeffhoagland.com and post the results of what you think were with this draft deck, as well as the previous 6 draft decks, for a chance to win your own draft set on Hex, so you can get into the draft queue yourself.